Okay, here we are.
Here we are. This is the Creatures of the Night Paranormal Podcast, and I'm Chris.
And I'm Wendy.
There we go.
That was like almost professional.
I know. It's like we've done this a few times, right?
Just a few.
Well, so I guess we're about to hit the new year.
Yeah, we are. It's coming.
Can you believe it?
Whether we want it or not.
You cannot stop it. Well, I mean, I don't know. I guess you could if you're that kind of a witch, but we haven't figured that out yet.
A time witch? That's impressive.
Yeah, right? Well, it's getting real for me, the fact that the new year's coming and as far as podcasting goes, because I can remember when we first started podcasting and we just wanted to tell our stories kind of the way that we were telling them to each other. You know, back when we started, I was sitting upstairs in my hack of a podcast cube. I'd have Ghost Adventures on while we're podcasting. The family was running through the house like I was sitting in the middle of a mall. My husband screaming at his computer buddies in the background. You know, it was very fly by the seat of your pants. You know, where did the time go, Wendy?
I was about to say, wasn't it like that maybe 4 podcasts ago? No, we learned a lot about the sound quality, having to listen and edit it. So yeah, we're like, ooh, actually you can't do that. You can't have the TV on. You can't have the fan on.
Right.
Shit.
No, we got really like, wow, when we're listening to our episodes and we're like, yeah, maybe we should take this a little bit more seriously. Which I don't think it's a bad thing because I think, you know, people listening, they want to hear something a little bit more professional, even though there's a lot of side silliness and, you know, banter going on anyways. I mean, but that's just who we are.
Right. I have to admit, I'm a podcast snob. You know, I told you last week I started listening to Up and Vanish again. And
yeah,
his is just like, it's like music to your ears, the way he produces it with mixing in music and the different interviews and are like listening to Lore or My Favorite Murder and stuff like that. I'm like, no, I only listen to our podcast and really professional podcasts.
And really professional podcasts.
Like, what a dick I am.
But they're so slick. They sound so nice when you listen to them. So I totally get what you're saying, where you're coming from. I haven't listened to any of the new Up and Vanished. I just remember listening to the old ones. It was such a cool podcast because it really kind of took you away. Like, I would listen to it while I was walking. Same thing like Lore. I would go out on my lunch break and just walk and listen to it. But like you said, it's got the music behind it. And the stories are good enough. And I mean, Up and Vanish is a true story. Lore is also true stories, but he's not trying to solve anything.
Don't say they're not real. They are.
No.
Fairies exist. I'm certain of it.
I love those stories. So, I mean, maybe one day we'll get there, guys. But, I mean, to be truthful with you, that's not really what we're looking for. We are looking to tell you some paranormal stories, and we're going to continue to be our silly little selves. We've tried to at least make the sound quality a little bit better for you. Like Wendy said a little while ago, she now sits in like an airtight room where she has no AC and no fan on, and she lives in the desert, y'all. And I am the one sitting in the cold, dark, scary basement so that I can get away from the ruckus that's upstairs. So we have gone through big changes, some great lengths just to bring you some good quality sound here. So that's what we're doing for the new year, guys. We're switching it up. So yes, time has really passed by so quickly for us. And speaking of time flying, 9 months ago, we received a story from one of our listeners. 9 months ago. This came back to us in April as an entry for the t-shirt contest. Jamie Haney won the contest, and we announced it on the podcast, on Instagram, and all of that jazz, but we never got to tell you her story. And if you've been listening to us this whole time, back in the day when we were like sitting upstairs and Ghost Adventures was on, wondering if we'd ever tell you her story, well, I'm going to tell you now. It just takes 9 months, guys. I thought this would...
Work in progress. What did we just say?
I also thought this would be a great way to kick off the new year. And also, I hope that by telling you one of our listeners' personal stories, that it might inspire some of our other listeners out there to write in and share with us their stories. The plan is to one day have a personal story podcast kind of thrown in somewhere during the month, but we can't get there, guys, if you don't write to us. So please, if you have had a paranormal experience, don't be afraid to share it with us. Creatures of the Night paranormal@gmail.com. We would truly love to hear your story and love to share it on the show. So without any further ado, I give you Jamie's story. She actually wrote this as a blog back in January of 2012, and she titled her story Haunted Beginnings. Jamie was almost 21 when she moved into the old farmhouse that has, unfortunately, since been torn down. She said that on the inside, it was really beautiful with a lot of original stuff. She had heard about this place from her friends at the time, her boyfriend's parents. She talked about how much she really loved it and wanted to buy it and fix it up, but she never did. Ultimately, Jamie ended up going after the house and begging the farmers who owned it to rent it out to her. It sat empty for years, and reluctantly, the farmer rented it out to her and her boyfriend for a crazy low price. She says was about $135 a month. Come on.
That's crazy.
Isn't that
I also
crazy?
love that she was just like, I really dig this house. You got to rent it out to me.
I know. Come on, look at me. I'm sweet and innocent. What can I possibly do? It's not doing anything. It's sitting there empty, right? Don't you want to have some cash?
It's such a small town thing to do, too, though.
Yeah, they weren't creeped out by the fact that she was looking to rent it. So she was super excited when they finally agreed. Her and her mom drove over there to get a good look at the place. Her mom had an uneasy feeling about it from the get-go. She told Jamie that she never liked it and that it just didn't sit well with her. She just had a gut instinct. They went up to the windows to look in, try to see if they could get inside it. But as they did, they saw a black cat inside sitting on the stairs. She said it was just sitting there staring at them. It's my house. Why are you looking in? So fast forward to moving day when Jamie and her then boyfriend began cleaning up the old house. Strangely, they never saw the cat again, not even in the barn or in the old garage that sat on the property. And another weird thing was that there wasn't any animal droppings inside. No bugs, nor any evidence of mice. Nothing in the windowsills. No spiders either. Solid, this house.
That's lucky as fuck.
I know. People live in this house, and there are spiders and bugs everywhere.
Right?
What am I doing wrong? The great old house had a typical floor plan for that era. 4 rooms on the bottom floor, which included a formal living room, 2 parlors, and a kitchen. A bathroom had been added on to the kitchen later. Upstairs, there were 4 bedrooms, and a staircase went straight up through the center of the home. I mean, this house was big.
Yeah.
And $135 a month.
Yeah. And she's 21.
Right. I mean, it's just such an awesome deal. The formal living room had an octagon-shaped room with tall windows at angles and red-stained glass at the transcombs. Do you know what transcombs are?
I do not.
All right. Well, I looked it up, and it could mean one of 2 things. A transcomb window is the additional windows on top of the door or on top of windows, it's window
Yeah.
and then more windows. Or it can actually mean the bar that separates the window down from the window up. So she said it was red stained glass at the transcombs. I'm not really sure if she meant the top windows were all red or if it was scraped off.
I love those little kind of windows, by the way.
Yeah, me
Especially
too.
when they're over doors and stuff.
Yes,
Yeah.
they're so fun. That's how I envisioned it too. So we'll go that way until she corrects us. There were red curtains, and when the sun shined, it was very red inside this room. So naturally, Jamie referred to this as the red room from that point on.
It was before that dirty book, right?
Oh, yeah, right. I guess this room also had the gorgeous old fireplace that she refers to next because she just continued on. She said the fireplace had beautiful tile and it had a mirror at the top. She said the fireplace wasn't even painted. And I have a picture of it, but the picture doesn't look red. So either the sun wasn't shining in or this is in a separate room. She pointed out that the room was always exceptionally colder than any other room. Jamie and her then boyfriend were both young at the time and love having get-togethers, entertaining their friends at their new house. So many get-togethers were happening, and during one of those particular get-togethers, Jamie remembers being inside the old house watching TV when one of their friends came in the kitchen door and hollered that he was going to use the bathroom. Next thing she said, he comes running out of the kitchen and asking her if she had been jiggling the door handle. Which she immediately responded with no. I mean, she was kind of that's weird. What? And that was the first of many people claiming that someone was attempting to enter the bathroom with them being in it. It happened even to her while she was in the shower. Jamie and her boyfriend had taken one of the parlor rooms as their bedrooms. Being so young, they didn't have a lot of furniture, but they had more than most people their age since her grandmother had passed away and left her all of her furniture. She had her bed and other things kept in boxes upstairs. And, those it was just other things that weren't being used. And they hadn't planned on using the upstairs either. So they didn't sweep or bother cleaning that part of the house. She also had a very young kitty named Whiskey during this time. Whiskey was about a year old. And one night, Jamie woke up to her cat going nuts, clawing on the wall from the dresser. She said Whiskey was meowing and looking up at the ceiling. She could hear something upstairs, too. It sounded like it was thrashing around all of her boxed up things. She woke up her boyfriend, and he also heard all of the noise, and of course, it frightened them both. Not knowing what could be up there, they decided that it must have been some sort of animal, and they would wait and find out the next day.
No! What's funny is I've read this story and I forgot that. That's a no. That could be somebody in your house.
I know. See, that's also another really good reason why I waited 9 months to tell the story.
So I can forget. You probably could have waited a month, is all.
I know. Yeah, right. Me too. So this is funny because Jamie actually joked that her boyfriend was too scared to go up there. And so that's why they didn't. They were just like, yeah, we'll check it out in the morning. Go back to bed.
Lock the bedroom door.
All right. So the next morning, he took a baseball bat upstairs to find out what had all been destroyed. And when he got up there, he yelled down for Jamie to come up and take a look. She couldn't believe it. Nothing had been touched. Not even the dust was disturbed. In fact, you could see their footprints as they walked. There were the boxes with lots of sheets and fabric remnants on them, but nothing had been disturbed. They were shocked, basically. What the hell? The next night, the very same thing happened. And this time, her boyfriend took it a little bit more seriously. He went up there with a gun. And it's like, okay. When he got up there, the noise stopped. And again, there was nothing. The following day, he decided to put up a big clamp type trap to try and catch whatever was up there making all that noise, but nothing ever set it off. She even put a chicken leg up there in the center of the trap, but nothing ever touched it. I mean, they were really serious about this, thinking that it's an animal getting in somehow. She said they had mouse traps up there too, and none of them were ever tripped. So they finally just gave up and ignored it. And it went away.
That's one way to handle your problems.
I love that. I guess he was like, well, darn, they don't care anymore about me. She said that her cat became what she refers to as a neurotic cat while they stayed in that house. Her actions became very erratic and she always wanted to be outside. One time, they had an inside party and everyone wanted to take a look around her haunted house. So she took a group of about 4 people upstairs and into the room right over the kitchen that had at one time caught on fire. She said that you could see that the walls were singed, though it must have not been a very bad fire. As they entered the room and were looking around, a very strong scent of candles burning became present. She wasn't even the one that brought it up, but there was no doubt that that's what it was. Some of the others did not want to mess around with that and left. Jamie found all of this very intriguing and wanted to have more encounters. She welcomed it and never felt anything negative. Even back then, Jamie had a dedicated art studio in one of her parlors and had it set up perfectly. Her boyfriend was working second shift and she was alone at night until after midnight. A couple of his friends had come over to wait for him to get off work and she had been up working in her art studio. They were all talking to her and her back was towards the red room. She said that while she was talking, she was using her hands, so her arms were up in like story mode, kind of like blah, 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 how you talk with your hands, right? And as she talked with 2 of the guys in front of her, she just stopped and froze. They looked at her as if she was nuts, and she spun around asking if anyone had touched her. They told her with wide open eyes that she was white as a sheet. She said that she had just been touched. The back of her arm had been gently squeezed.
Ooh.
I know. It's getting a little friendly.
Again, I'm tripping myself out. I should know this story. And I'm like, what? Sorry. But that's an odd touch.
Yeah, it is. And she said it was a squeeze too. So, I mean, that's unmistakable,
Yeah. Is it like getting your attention or is it like, bitch, listen to me?
Yeah, right?
I don't know. It could be taken like meanly or not.
Right. She did say earlier on that she didn't feel like anything was ever malicious. But yeah, when it starts to get a little handsy, you have to wonder, like, where are we going with this?
Mm-hmm.
On another occasion, her best friend Kelly had come over to visit. They sat in the kitchen at the table and Jamie decided to read her cards. Now, she doesn't claim to be a psychic, but she does trust her gut and intuition. She read through the instructions that came with the cards because she was new to tarot. And even though I'm not new to tarot, I still have to read the instructions because there's a lot of cards to learn. But what she read in her friend's cards was that there was a baby. Her friend scoffed at the idea, and that was that. It turns out that she was actually pregnant, which of course they still talk about to this day. So they ended up moving out of that old house after having lots of paranormal encounters, though she thought that would be the end of it. However, for Jamie, the story didn't end there. It occurred to her recently, and that was recently as of 2012, that it's not the houses that she lives in that are necessarily the only things that are haunted. So Jamie, I'd really like to know what happened. We need to know. She left her story with that little bit of a cliffhanger, and I can only assume what she meant by that, but I would prefer not to speculate and hope that we end up getting a part 2 to this story one day.
Yeah.
So thank you, Jamie, very much for your awesome story. I would love to have had this experience from the moment you peeked into the windows to seeing that mysterious cat to getting touched. I mean, this was all very real and awesome. Also, the pictures that you shared with us are just gorgeous. I completely see the appeal to this amazing old place. The fact that you were able to move in and bring some new life to it, no lie, that is a dream of mine. And I'm sure Wendy's too.
Oh, yeah.
You know, the transcombs, the windows, and the original wood. It sounds amazing.
Beautiful. And then I love like remodeling and stuff like that too.
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
I just think it's great that you got to do that before it was torn down. And maybe you even revitalized some of the old ghosts that had been locked away in that old house for so long. So Jamie Haney is an artist and a friend of ours, and also a fellow ghost hunter and garden expert. You can see her art on her Instagram and her Twitter page by visiting Jamie Haney. The story titled Haunted Beginnings can be found on her blog, which is at jamiehaney.com. She made it really easy, guys. Everything is all under one name, not like us at all. I'll attach the link to her stuff and the pictures on our social media pages so you can find her and check out her stuff. So now I'm not done. I have a little side story that I just absolutely had to include here because it's all about some haunted art. It's not Jamie's, though, just so you know. But it is a personal story. So I came across this one while researching the Dybbuk box because it's said to be just as haunted as the Dybbuk box or even Robert the Doll.
Ooh.
Yeah, right? Well, I felt it was fitting to include it with Jamie's story, seeing as how she's an artist and all. She might appreciate this tender little nugget.
She should make some haunted art.
I know.
I don't know how you do that, but I mean, like, you know, painted in a haunted. She just did an exhibit in some old house. That's got to be haunted. Like, go paint something over there, and I'm sure it'll cement itself.
Right. I like those. I like those ideas. That would be fun. This story that I'm about to tell you actually kind of talks about how this painting got to be haunted. And I wouldn't go this route. This is pretty creepy. So here goes. The painting titled The Anguished Man was inherited by Sean Robinson from his grandmother. The painting had been stored in his grandmother's attic for over 25 years and was thought to have been an unwanted gift that his grandmother received from a friend. Yet his grandmother had insisted that the painting was evil, so she felt it was best to keep the painting locked up in storage. Sean, being a non-believer of the paranormal, claimed the painting shortly after his mother's death. No problem, right? I don't believe in that shit. Cool. Sean definitely thought the painting was a little weird, but he thought of it more like a conversation piece. So, Wendy, I'm going to send you the picture of it now so that we can have a little conversation about it.
I love to talk about art. I don't know shit about it, but I like, you know, I'm judgmental. I can find things I like and don't like and talk like I know what I'm talking about, maybe.
Well, this is haunted art.
Even better.
All right. So you should get that. I just texted it to you.
There's no haunted art expert out there, is it? A haunted
No.
art curator?
Oh, come on. I'm sure if there's so many ghosts.
I'm sorry.
What kind of conversation would you like to have about that?
I don't want to look at this.
Wow, really? I mean, that really shocked you.
Oh, it really scares me.
Oh, I'm sorry. Delete it. Delete
No.
it. You'll see it on social media, though, because I'm going to be posting it.
Oh, my God. Oh, it is creepy.
Isn't it creepy? I mean, to me, honestly, it does look like a chicken nugget that the skin has been removed from. But
Listen, that's the thing. It looks like it's like somebody burning and melting, like very, when it's Judgment Day in Terminator or whatever.
Oh,
their
yeah,
flesh is burning off. The kid's holding onto the fence. This is like one of the kids, except for he looks like more grown. Anyways, the blue in the back is very pretty.
The colors are nice.
The colors are very nice and vibrant. It's those hollow eyes and that scream.
Yeah.
For people, listening to this, haven't seen the photo yet on our social media, the mouth is like circular, like a big O kind of real painful scream. And it's hollow eyes and it's a chicken nugget shaped head. But the flesh is all orange and red, and so it's like it's burning.
Right.
It's hypnotizing a little bit now that I'm not so scared to look at it. Yeah, that's extreme.
That's weird, right? Yeah. So just like you said, its mouth is gaping open like he's in pain. I mean, he's titled The Anguished Man, so he looks like he's in agony.
Yeah, I don't like it.
No.
And this dude was like, I can't wait to get that shit out of storage. I thought that picture is badass.
He actually didn't mind it. Yeah, he's like, yeah, it's cool. That's fine. Whatever. But check out the backstory his grandmother fed him. She told him stories about the painting when he was younger. She said that the artist had committed suicide after the painting was completed, but that the artist had mixed his own blood in the oil paint.
How? Oh, like before?
Yeah, while he was still around. Yes.
Okay. Gotcha. That was just his thing. And then, okay, got it.
Additionally, she told Sean about seeing a dark, ghostly figure in the house and claimed that the painting was the source of the strange noises that she would hear, one of which sounded like a man crying. The painting was clearly more than just a conversation piece, in her opinion. Weird things started happening shortly after Sean Robinson brought the Anguished Man painting into his home. Sean and his wife began seeing a dark figure of a man. Sightings of the entity progressed, in addition to the sound of a man crying and other strange noises, which included loud banging noises and what he described as the sound of nails scratching on fabric.
Ooh.
Yeah. Needless to say, Sean Robinson, once a firm disbeliever in all things supernatural and paranormal, has now changed his mind and believes the stories that his grandmother had once told him in his younger years, and is now convinced that the painting is haunted by an evil entity. So I found and added just a few of his personal encounters for the story, just to give you a very broad idea of all of the things that this man is having to deal with. So Sean stated, "We've heard crying coming from the corner of our bedroom. We started seeing the dark figure standing at the bottom of our bed, just staring at us."
Nope. None of this. Why is it going to happen in your bedroom? So this is probably meaning that he's in bed to go to sleep or something, or the middle of the night. This is not like midday I happen to walk in to get an extra pair of socks,
Well, I think he actually had the painting in his bedroom at the time. I don't know if it was hanging up or if it was just kind of like on the floor, but it seems like the picture was in his room for some reason, because they decided to take the painting out of the room and put it in the downstairs cupboard. And I don't know, that might be a closet. I'm not really sure. I always get this confused because I would think a cupboard is kind of like, where you put your dishes and stuff. Yeah. And this painting's quite a bit bigger than just to put it in where you would put your dishes and stuff. So I don't know, maybe he means closet. I'm not sure. But after a year, there was an update from Sean, and it seems like it was moved out of the closet, if that is in fact what he meant. And this is what he said. "I set the camera up once more in the spare bedroom. The painting had been stored away since the last recording. I recorded over 3 nights for approximately 4 hours per night between 1 and 5 a.m. I recorded the usual banging noises, but on the second night at approximately 3:25 a.m., I recorded the painting suddenly falling over, and immediately afterwards, a small orb is visible just above the painting." So I want to stop there and say that, just to clarify, he used the word orb. I watched the video, and it's more like a wisp of light that seems to shoot out of the wall. So it's interesting. It's something that you have to see. I didn't see it as like the typical orb shape
Yeah. I mean, because I think like the true definition of orb, wouldn't it just be like any kind of light anomaly or something?
Okay.
I don't know. I'm shooting that out of my very bad memory. But yeah, it's not just a little ball of light or whatever that some people associate with bugs or dust or whatever.
Yeah, you have to see it. I did want to explain that too, because the painting, it does fall over. So naturally, it could have kicked up some dust, but it's not like a circular dust shape that appears. And also, like he explained it, the art was sitting at an angle so that it was, pushed out a little bit on the bed and against the wall. So it would have to have been pushed over.
Right.
It's weird how it just happens.
Also, where's this light coming from? I mean, I'm sure he's got hours of videos to show you that this room is dark. So, I don't know. I guess like an outside source, like coming in from a window in the room. I guess somebody could try to say that, but...
That's true, yeah. He said that there were no drafts, but again, he's got it focused on the painting. So you can't tell if there are windows or how big this room even is. Shit, it could be a closet with a bed in it. I don't know. It's...
like Harry Potter style.
Right. Yeah. So he also explained that he experienced a strange mist at the top of the stairs, and it was like I was suddenly surrounded by smoke, and I became very cold, and then it just vanished as quickly as it came on. So then 2 years later, he had another update for us, and it goes like this. I've recently temporarily moved in with my parents, and obviously took the painting with me.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? Shit happens. It's whatever. It was only in the house for a few days when the noises started, the same noises I had previously experienced. Then on the third night, my father fell down the stairs the same way as my son did at the other house. Thankfully, he was unhurt, but I have now moved the painting back into storage.
Oh, look, I can make up a whole story here. He won't get rid of that fucking painting.
I know, that's exactly what I thought.
Baby mama, whoever, she's had enough of it. The kid gets hurt. She's like, if you don't get that fucking painting out of here. And he's like, no, I love it, because he's obsessed with it.
Obsessed with it
and
now.
So he and his fucking painting had to get out.
Yes.
Now Pops is hurt. And he's like, shit. Maybe she had a point.
Right? That's really funny, because I thought the same thing, but I didn't put that in there. It's awesome that your mind just took on exactly what I was thinking. And you're like, here's what happened.
You know I'm going to make up a story.
But being obsessed about this painting, I think you're on with that as well. He says, I've been working closely with John Blackburn and Ian Lawman of Mystery Paranormal Group, taking the painting to some of the allegedly most haunted locations in the UK, including 35 Stonegate at York and Chillingham Castle in Northumberland. And oh my God, guys, this is it right here. It was on the evening of May 18th, 2013, at Chillingham Castle that a group of people experienced events that were both terrifying and unexplained. None of the guests were prepared for what was about to happen in the early hours of Sunday morning. The room went icy cold when a large, dark figure appeared in the middle of the seance circle. A large wooden bench banged on the floor of its own accord in response to John Blackburn's questions to the painting. Then, suddenly, the bench was flipped upside down violently by what was believed to be John Sage, who is one of Chillingham Castle's resident powerful spirits and who we think was showing his anger to a foreign, uninvited spirit to his castle. Like, get out, ghost. This is my ghost place. Only one ghost can be here. It's totally a ghost gang war, if I've ever heard of one.
Territorial.
Very territorial. I wanted to look more into Chillingham Castle, but I figured I can't make this a 4-hour podcast, so maybe one day we'll get into that one. But John Blackburn stated that this was the strangest experience he had ever had in all of his years of investigation, and there were at least 20 witnesses to those events. So Sean's adventures with the painting continued, and there are a couple of very weird YouTube videos out there, which include things like odd floating lights, which seem to focus around the painting or soak into the wall above it, some of the strange noises that he reported, and the misty apparitions, one of which almost looks like it forms the face of the Anguished Man, Wendy's new favorite painting. And I have to tell you, this is so funny, but I was watching these clips on YouTube early in the morning this week, getting prepared for the podcast. And I had just watched that one where there's this white mist that appears in front of a picture, and it's very vapor-like, it just appears and disappears. And right before it disappears, and it almost seems to like form the face of the Anguished Man, like I'm just watching it, white as a sheet, I'm sure, no makeup on. I just look like I'm in shock, I guess, because my husband comes down the stairs and sees me and he's like, whoa, what's wrong?
Damn.
Like, my God. Yeah, exactly. I didn't expect, I guess, to see that. People that have these personal experiences, a lot of them don't go through the lengths like he has to try and capture that. I mean, he's even working with ghost hunters, and he's doing a little, ghost adventures of his own by taking a haunted painting into haunted locations. And he's like, go at it, guys. Do what you got. But the weird thing is, the videos and the reports from Sean all seem to have stopped in 2017. There were rumors that the painting was up for sale, but everything that I found indicates that he still owns the painting and that he's got it locked away. Also, I found out that there may be a movie coming from all of this, which might explain why the story of the Anguished Man has been hushed for the past few years. There is a date on IMDb for Anguished, which indicates 2017. So I don't know what happened with that. But also, I do have to disclose that I found a creepypasta about the Anguished Man, which seems to have hitched a ride on the original storyline and took it for a cruise down make-believe lane. The picture of the painting was used in the creepypasta story, but the names and the facts were all changed and greatly improved upon. So now there's a dungeon underneath this man's living room. And at the end, that's what I'm saying. It's like SpongeBob World. Oh, except at the end of the story, the picture basically eats the soul of the owner. And then there's like now 2 anguished men in the picture. So,
ooh.
Oh, what? You like that?
You know me, I'll fall for those creepypastas. I already said that he's like obviously kind of obsessed with this, possibly, what is it called?
Well, he's obsessed with it.
But it's oppressed? Is that what I'm trying to think of?
Oh, I see. Yeah, like he's becoming taken by it, right?
Yeah.
An oppressive entity. Yeah, I mean, that's what, like, dark entities, that's what they usually do. They oppress you into some shit, I think. I think you're right with that.
It's just odd how he's so clingy to it, despite all these things that are going on to him. And we don't know for sure why he had to leave his house with his family or whatever to go get kicked into his mom's house and all this stuff. Then he starts traveling with it as if he's got nowhere to go with his photo. Nobody will take him in. It's just, he's really in love with this painting, and it's just kind of strange. And so you could see, like, he's becoming one with it. The creepypasta, I get, like, what they were trying to write, basically. It's not real, the story that they told, but the idea is kind of right.
I see what you're saying. Okay. Well, and I like that version of it. But I guess as far as the creepypasta goes, it has a bit of a happy ending now that the Anguished Man in the creepypasta story now has a buddy. Someone clearly had found the story extremely intriguing and did their own little fan-based story off of it, kind of like what you were suggesting.
I think I wrote it.
You did. I love that.
I didn't, but I mean, like, I'm totally feeling this creepypasta. When you were saying that he took it around to paranormal hotspots and stuff, or locations, I was kind of like, is he like looking for, some ghost to adopt this thing? Or like for his haunted painting to have a haunted friend? He's like, come on, maybe you'll be happy if you have somebody. You'll stop waking everybody up at night and knocking them downstairs.
Maybe.
I told you, I think I wrote this creepypasta. I must have been drunk.
Well, damn, you should get some money for it, because that story's been circulating around a lot. As a matter of fact, it circulated so much that there are so many, I guess, skeptics on the real story. But he's got so many videos out there, and he's taking it to these paranormal locations, and other people are witnessing weird shit with it too. So his story kind of has a little bit of support, I guess. And oh, by the way, in the creepypasta, if there were 2 anguished men in the picture now, so where is that picture? It doesn't exist. It's still just the one guy. So it is creepypasta, right? Can't always believe what you find on the internet, I suppose.
Right.
So before I forget, all of these videos that I'm talking about are on Sean's YouTube page. It's all under his name, Sean Robinson. Again, very easy. So I'll be posting pictures of the painting this week along with Jamie's stuff so that you can see them both. I'll post links for his videos for you to see. And as always, you can find those goodies on Instagram under COTN_paranormal or Facebook and Twitter as COTN paranormal. We also have an Instagram page and Twitter for our store, and that's the Spirit Emporium. We like to post different stuff there. Sometimes it's related to our shop, and sometimes it's really not. Just depends on the wind. Our shop is, of course, on Etsy, and it's under the same name. It's the Spirit Emporium. But you can find the shop, links to past episodes and blogs, information about your wonderful podcasters, and so much more on the creaturesofthenight.paranormal.com page. Look us up, buy something, drop us an email about your scary story or your own personal paranormal encounter so that we can tell all of our faithful subscribers. Sorry, guys. I guess too many P's in there really tripped me up. But that's all I got.
That's enough. That painting's going to haunt me forever.
That painting is terrifying, right?
I'm not joking. When I first opened that up, I said, I wish I never saw this. I'm afraid I'm going to see it later. And I don't mind nightmares really because I can tell a lot of the times that I'm dreaming and everything. But that's creepy. It's so creepy looking. And then...
So sorry. I feel so bad now.
No. It's really pretty though. The colors on it, they are really pretty. And the story is very fascinating to me. And I bet you're right. He quit kind of being out there in the public eye because maybe he's working on a movie and they make him, because I don't know, I feel like you've seen that before. People hush hush and then all of a sudden there's a movie out now.
Yeah, right.
It's just odd. I think I would actually want to see this movie now if it actually is maybe a little less fictional and maybe explains a little bit more about his connection with it.
Right? I mean, we've got a couple of years that we have not seen anything from him on YouTube. So maybe he has been steadily filming and all of that's going to go in the movie. And if it's as creepy as the stuff that he already has, I would love to see this movie. I mean, like I said, I was shocked at the things that I saw on YouTube, shocked that I'd never heard of this before until I was looking up stuff about the Dybbuk box. And I was just like, okay, it's a painting. All right, cool. I mean, I like weird shit. Well, I'll put this away for some other day. And then I get to watching those YouTube videos. I was stunned. I mean, I just didn't expect it. I don't know. He explained the wisp of light as an orb. I expected to see an orb. That was different. And then there's strange noises that you can hear, Wendy, too. It's creepy.
It's impressive to see documentation of paranormal activity along with one of these claims because we've heard tons of stories about haunted objects, but how often do you actually get to see it basically in action?
In action.
Yeah, that those reports that people are saying actually happened. And this dude was like, something's going on. And he took the time to document it and really study it. It's just a little creepy how it doesn't scare him, I guess.
Right. That is strange.
I couldn't take it hurting individuals, me thinking that it had something to do with hurting people. But, I mean, if I had a haunted object, this is all we ever want, really, is to have a haunted object so we can put it up in its own little room and then just sit there. And whenever we want to paranormal investigate, we're like, well, I'm going to go into the basement, me and my painting or whatever.
Right. We're going to have a chat.
Yeah. And then just test out equipment with it and have it help you, I don't know, develop your skills better or something like that. Plus, it's got pretty colors on it,
It is very vibrant. I know it would lighten up any dark room.
No, it wouldn't.
Very dark room.
It's such a dark story to go along with it too, but it's believable too. I mean, can you imagine somebody going through pain? I mean, I suffer from depression, and so I know what it's like. You can get dark like that. I'm not an artist, never painted like this. We try painting, our drunk painting, but
maybe we should start putting our blood in our paintings. That's what's been missing.
I'm just saying my art's not that good, but I can see wanting to put a piece of yourself into it, especially if you're at that really low point in your life. I don't know. I don't want to go too deep into it, but I could see leaving that little piece. And then what does that do afterwards then?
Right. I know. So this is why I was happy to include this as a side story, because I had no more details about the origination of this painting. I don't know the artist's name. We don't know if that's true. All we have is the backstory from the grandma, and the grandma's been gone for some time now. And nobody can seem to put a time date stamp or anything on this painting. They're just like, yeah, that's a weird looking painting. I believe that story. I mean, because if you look at it, it's immediately like, yeah, somebody looked tortured when they painted it.
Yeah.
You know, it was definitely a representation of somebody's feelings. You know, yeah. So that's all I could really do was kind of give you his personal story, the little bit of background that I had, which was, you know, what you got there in the story. And that's it. But the story is fascinating. And yeah, I hope we get some more from Sean one day, if it's even just the movie or if he just goes back on YouTube. Now, I will say when you go onto YouTube and you listen to some of his videos, they are older and the sound quality when he's speaking, it's hard. I think either his mic wasn't that good. Like he's got kind of a low raspy voice anyways. You have to crank it up really. Oh, and he's also got a thick accent too, being from the UK. So that's always fun. I know you like that.
Yeah, I was about to say, well, I'll take it. I won't even care what he's saying. It's like, I'm watching this.
Right.
I watch so much stuff that sometimes I can't even understand what they're saying.
Just because the accent's so thick.
Yeah, the girl that plays the new Doctor Who, I can't get her sometimes. So I'm just like, I don't know what she just said, but we're going to keep watching it. I'm sure it'll play out and I'll figure it out. I'm a big fan of Peaky Blinders.
Yeah.
They're super bad. I have to like pause it, listen to it again, and then be like, I don't know. Do you know what they're saying? No? Okay, well.
Anybody catch that?
Just watch their mannerisms to try to figure it out. But I still love listening to them.
It's too bad that you couldn't see Wendy's motions as she was describing how she's like looking around the room for like, and does anybody get this?
It's me in Winter, and I'm like, did you get that, Winter? No? Oh, okay. It's a really cool story, though, and I had never heard it myself either, so I'm really glad you shared it with me, and you've got to keep your eye out for if he puts more stuff out there or when that movie comes out.
Yeah.
None of his videos had, like, he had never gotten, like, EVPs or audio recordings of, like, a voice trying to give him more information or anything, right?
The ones that I watched, there were noises that were creepy, which makes sense because everything else that goes along with this painting, they're creepy too. As far as him actually trying to connect with the spirit on that kind of level, I didn't hear anything like that.
Yeah.
Now, he is obviously working with some paranormal groups there, so maybe they made some connections, and maybe if, you know, I went to their sites or whatever, I might find more on that where they did some connecting with the Anguished Man. So
I imagine he would have shared that information too. If he like, I worked with this guy and he told me, you know, the Anguished guy's name is George, whatever. You know what I mean?
Right? You're right.
They may not be getting anything audible from it, you know?
Right.
Because it's just, maybe it's just an emotion imprinted, but it is odd how connected he is to it.
Very connected, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think Jamie's going to be able to paint something like that.
Not like that. No. But I do like where you were going with it. Just take your paintings on the road, go to the haunted locations, and just paint your feelings there, and maybe it'll imprint that way.
Yeah, or let some spirits help you out, like possess you, and then you paint their feelings, that type thing.
Her latest art I saw of the wings was so freaking pretty, and I'm like, I had an emotion just looking at them. I'm like, I want those pictures. Those are beautiful. Have you seen the wings? They're so freaking pretty.
Her artwork is really pretty, and I think you can go, I don't know if you said this, but I think she does have a website that you can go directly to buy her art, and you can also go through her Facebook page and buy things, and Instagram and buy things, but I think her website, I think it's just jamiehaney.com.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, did you say it earlier? Yeah.
Yeah, I did, but I'm glad you reiterated it because now it's at the end of the show, so it's good to always put that back out there. It is jamiehaney.com. I know back in the day, she had a site. It was called Artsy Fartsy Me.
Yeah.
And I went and visited it while I was looking through her stuff again because she's so funny. She was talking about this, I think it was My Haunted House or My Haunted Story. She was so creeped out by this episode that she saw, and I'm like, I gotta know because I love that show, and I might be even saying the wrong one. Here I am. I love that show. I can't even remember what it's called.
You love all the haunted shows.
Right, exactly. So I'm sure I've seen it. And on her old site, she had even linked it. She was so excited that she found the video because she had, I think she did a blog on it. So I'm like, yes, I'm going to see this. Well, her old site is no longer there. I mean, you can see it, but it's moved. So the link is gone too. So now I'm going to be on the crusade to find the link to that video. Unless Jamie wants to help me out, or she maybe saved it, maybe she emailed it to herself and she can email it to us. But yeah, so 2 really good personal stories. One very happy ending, one very strange. So That's what I do here, guys. I'm a Gemini. I like both sides.
I know. It was like Jamie's pretty farmhouse and little silly noises, and it's not bad at all. And then that photo or painting.
Right.
You are taking me on a trip here.
It's so true. Yeah. This is going to be a weird week of social media postings, that's for sure. But don't let that frighten you away, guys. Send us your pictures and send us your stories so we can talk about them here on the podcast. And yeah, that's all I got for you.
All right. Awesome. I loved it. Thank you.
All right. Sweet. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Bye.